We need money. We are here for money. I think I'm gonna go back actually and try to steal Aurelia's gold again and just book it back to the portal. Actually, maybe I want to come back and try to get through here. See if that's possible.
Beautiful.
We're doing another experiment.
You stay away from my money.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Children of Night. No, it's a little further. Right over here. Move. Is that it? There's this like skeleton and a bunch of money in here. I am very close to dying. That was a lot of money. Okay, I didn't see anything else in that room that looked like I could interact with it. It was just the chest. And it had money and what, some arrows, I think that was it. But well, we've got a bunch of money now.
Salve, friend. Mind telling me...
Let's go ahead and have him take care of the things again.
Julia? Pug. Alright, let me... I'll go.
Okay, let's see if we can get this to work
Salve,
properly
friend. I'm Octavia.
for us now.
Welcome to life under the golden rule.
I'm fine, thanks.
Ah, another stoic, perhaps. We all need something to help us through times like these.
Stoic?
We've all been where you are now. I remember when I first arrived. I used to lay awake at night contemplating the big questions. Why am I... I still don't have any of the answers.
I really need to talk to Ulpius.
All right, well, it was lovely.
I can't believe this is how it ends.
Oh no. No. No, 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 no. Ulpius, what are you doing? Get back from there. If you lose your balance, you'll fall.
That's the idea.
What?
Why do you think?
I know, please.
I'm sorry, but
Please, I'll help him. If he goes through with it, it could be the end for us.
Alright, I'll talk to him.
Thank you. And please, choose your words carefully.
Okay, is this what Scintilla would want?
you know about that? How is that possible? I mean, I've never meant...
You'd never believe me if I told you.
Well, if you say so. You don't understand. I don't want to hurt anyone.
Maybe I can help solve your problem.
It's too late for that. If I backed out now...
Lucretia was able to get some Sylphium in time to save her life. She's going to be fine.
Oh, really? That changes things a little. But we're still in debt bondage to that monster. Unless you happen to have 2,000 denarii to pay off both of our debts.
Actually, I do.
Really? Wait. So, I guess you'd want me to work for you then?
Oh my god, are you serious? Will he call me a liar? Will he refuse? No, you'd be free.
You'd do that for us? A couple of complete strangers.
Of course.
It seems today we are both blessed. This did not turn out how I thought. Thank you, friend. I never thought people like you existed.
Here's your money. Counselor, save Ulpius's life.
Thank you. I'll go and pay off our debts immediately. I just wish there was some way I could repay you. But I have nothing but the tunic on my back.
Information! You could tell me about your relationship with Scintilla.
Ah. And there it is.
come on,
All right.
come on, come on, come on.
Scintilla and I were in love. And then, 22 days ago, she went missing.
Why don't you start from the beginning?
All right. One night a few months ago, when I was cleaning Malleolus's villa, I heard a young woman singing. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever heard. I wasn't allowed out, so once everyone else was asleep, I climbed up the inside of the villa and onto the roof, just to see where that sound was coming from. And that's when I saw her. Standing in the garden of the magistrate's villa, I just sat there on the roof, listening to her with my chin on my knees. And for the first time in a long time, I felt hopeful. And then she looked up and saw me and she smiled. I knew at that moment the fates had brought me to her. And from the moment she asked my name with this warmth and curiosity, I knew I'd have done anything for
So
her.
what
And
happened?
so for weeks on end, each night I'd climb out of the villa and into her father's garden. We'd hold hands and talk about all the things we'd do once we got out of here. Like having our own vineyard. And then one morning I woke up and everyone was out searching for her. They said she'd vanished in the night.
Come on, she didn't say
All
anything
I
to
could do
you.
was keep my head down and try to hide how beside myself I was. Scintilla was the one thing that made my life bearable. But with her gone, things unraveled quickly. You saw how bad it got.
Is it possible she escaped somehow? Or, I think you're hiding something, bluff. He's got to be hiding something, but I do not know how he will respond. Can I get him away from this ledge first? He's got to be hiding something. He's got to be. But I'm gonna ask, is it possible she escaped somehow first?
All I know is she loved me. And if she had known a way out, she would have told me. She'd never have taken her own life. And there's no way anybody could have killed her under the golden rule. I can't prove it, but I just know she's still alive somehow. Even now, it's as if I can hear her voice in my head, crying out to me. That can only mean one thing. Somebody abducted her.
But would that not break the
I have
golden
no idea
rule?
how, or who would want to
Kidnapping?
do something like that to such a sweet, lovely girl. But what else could have happened?
Any ideas who might have taken her? Somebody like you. I highly doubt that he would have abducted her. He could be hiding her somewhere, for sure. But why would he then try to jump? Like, why would he try to jump? Unless he thinks or knows that she is in fact already dead and he wants to be with her. I don't know. Any ideas about who might have taken her?
My guess? Malleolus had something to do with it. He is without doubt the most evil man I have ever known.
Yeah, he's not great.
I have no idea where he'd be keeping her. But there is one room in his villa, upstairs, which is always locked. I've never seen the inside
isn't
of it.
Claudia?
And I haven't been able to steal a key.
Claudia
without
is in a
breaking the
room
golden
upstairs
rule.
that's always locked.
But
There
I
wasn't
have a
another
feeling
room
that
up
if
there,
he
I
could
don't
get in
think.
there somehow, it would shed light on a great many things.
That wasn't just Claudia's. I searched the locked room. I did already do that. I've already tried that. There's no sign of Scintilla in there. Okay.
Oh, I see. That was the only idea I had. I'll give it some more thought. Come and find me a little later. I'll go and take care of things with Malleolus and tell Julia the good news. Thanks again, friend. I'll never forget what you did for us.
Okay, that didn't yield results like I would have liked.
What you did was extraordinary, and I'll never forget it. I'm thankful that you're here. Can I help? Ah,
I thought that that was really gonna help me, push me in a direction. But I don't know what else to do. The only other thing I was really truly contemplating was just going ahead and
how's
getting
friend?
Galerius elected magistrate. I can tell the priestess some more common threads. Oh, I never did talk to Lucretia about this. I should do that. Oh, and I could talk to Malleolus and ask him. Okay. I'd like to talk to Lucretia just because that seems like an easy thing to get out of the way. And then what? And then we can try to talk to Galerius, I guess.
Shalom.
Oh, okay. Have you had any more ideas about where Scintilla might be?
I feel like I've looked everywhere. At least everywhere I could get to. There are still two places I've never been able to reach. First, the palace. If Livia managed to get in, then I suppose Scintilla could have too. The only other place she could be is somewhere in the cistern network. I remember hearing that Dooley had been poking around in the upper cistern before he was locked up. So you could ask him about it, I suppose.
I'll see what I can do. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but I found Scintilla's amulet on a skeleton in the cistern. Let's save that. Let's get his story first.
You mean where am I from and all that? Judea, originally. But when I was a child, I moved to Rome with my family, Romanized my name and spent most of my life in the Jewish district of Trans-Tiberim, across the Tiber from the main city. That's where I was when the fires broke out. Everyone was running toward the river, and I, listening to my inner contrarian, ran the other way. Every road leading
So he's
out of
not
Rome was
Christian,
in chaos,
he is Jewish.
full of people with all their belongings in carts and brigands preying on them.
I thought he was
Several hours
Christian
down the
because
Appian
he wrote a note
I saw another Jewish
in
family
reference
being
just
attacked
God,
by 3 opportunists.
but no, he's
So I
Jewish.
picked up a branch from the side of the road and went to defend them. I can only assume they got the better of me because the next thing I knew, I was waking up in a forest, by a river not far from here, with no memory of how I got there. It's strange though, because I still had my purse on me. Why would a robber knock me unconscious and throw me in a river, but not take my coins?
That's odd. Most of the others were in Rome before they woke up in the forest, but you're saying you were several hours away. I like the way he's looking at me now. Let's see that.
You're right. I always just assumed the river carried me, but I'm not sure I was anywhere near the Tiber when I fell. I'm sure it'll all make sense.
You're also the only Jewish person I think that I've met. Well, that I know of. I don't... Do you know a way out of here?
I don't. But even if I did, I'm not going anywhere. I have unfinished business.
What do you think about the Golden Rule?
Well, neither of us have a couple of hours to stand around talking about theology, law, and collective punishment, so I guess you're looking for a pithy summary? You remind me of an old story from my people about Hillel the Elder. He was approached by a Gentile and asked to explain the entire Torah while he stood on one foot. Obliging,
Okay.
he replied, "What is hateful to you, do not do to another. That is the whole Torah. The rest is commentary. Go and learn." Of course, what I want to know is, what kind of a god sees a young woman abducted and does nothing about it? Not my god. That's for sure.
We don't know if she was abducted for sure, but good question.
Thanks. I just wish there was a way to find out.
Who are you going to vote for?
Sentius, I suppose. I'd have to be insane to vote for Malleolus after what he did to me.
Fair enough. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but I found Scintilla's amulet on a skeleton in the cistern.
A skeleton? You're saying she's...
Be
No.
careful who you trust.
I don't believe that. Shalom.
Okay.
All right, friend.
You! I want to talk to you.
A new face, are they? Interesting.
Some people mention a coin.
Yes, I suppose that could be something. But then most of us do tend to carry coins on our person, don't we? What else?
Some people mention a river.
Yes, I understand many of our friends were carried here by a river current. What else?
Some people mention memory lapses.
That's true. I know I wasn't entirely sure how I wound up here. It's as I feared. I think I understand what poor Livia has been going through. Let me ask you this. Did you happen to encounter a stranger in the forest before you arrived here?
I did, a young woman.
And did you happen to catch her name?
Karen.
I see. And was this Karen by
She
any
was.
chance wearing a hood?
I think. She was wearing a hoodie. How could you have known that?
Because I've seen her before. There's something I think you should see. I think you'd better follow me to the baths.
Oh my gosh, let's do it. Alright, I'll meet you in the baths.
But don't follow too closely. We can't have people thinking we're bathing together.
Wait, why not? Is it because she's a priest, so like... Her status could come into question. What? I don't want to talk to that guy.
You there? I'm sorry to trouble you, but I couldn't. No idea how you managed to get your hands on it, especially.
No.
Before you ask, no, I wouldn't. But I would.
Oh my god, I'm not
You're
interested right now.
in the massive riches.
Nope.
Then Futuo TMC. Get out of here.
What happened? What happened? Oh, I was still following her. So I was still in follow mode when he approached me and initiated conversation, and it kind of did... What was that about Livia? Why did this... I think it was this, but what... Why did that come up? This is weird. This is a little weird. This is a little weird.
All right, you're here. You were asking how I knew the young woman you met by the river was wearing a hood. Here, look down at the bottom of the baths. It's a little hard to make out in this light. If only we could see. Oh, what a marvelous lamp. But do you see it? Somebody waking up by a river in a forest to find a hooded figure with a coin. It's just as you described it, only your pronunciation is a little off. The name you heard wasn't Karen. It was C-H-A-R-O-N, as in Charon, the ferryman of the dead. Charon,
I did figure
who,
that
in
out.
exchange for the right coin,
I did.
helps the souls of the newly deceased cross the Styx, the river that separates the land of the living from the land of the dead.
When I dragged you out of the river, I thought you were never gonna wake up. I checked your pockets for ID, but all I found was some
Bloodless
loose change.
shadow. Learn the true identity of
Feels
the
like
stranger
I
by the
spent
river.
My whole life in a dead-end job with an endless commute.
Yeah, I remember.
Sorry if I sounded cagey. It's just that I don't always get the best reactions when I introduce myself. My name's Karen.
I'm so sorry, my friend. I'm so sorry. I take it you know what this means.
This place is the underworld.
I'm afraid so. It's
Underworld
all starting to
Explorer.
make
Discover the
sense.
underworld icons,
All
Sisyphus,
these
Tantalus,
people
Ixion, and the
whose
Belody.
last memory was running from the fires toward the river. It seems none of them escaped with their lives after all. Perhaps we should be grateful they don't remember their final moments. It also tells us that the Golden Rule is the work of Pluto, the god of the underworld, and why his epithet has always been
What?
Father of Riches.
What?
I know it's
Really?
a lot to take in, and you look as if you have questions, so I'll try to answer them if I can.
I'm unfamiliar with Pluto in Roman mythology. So we're dead?
That was my first thought too. In the old stories, the underworld was where the souls of the deceased were taken. But it was also possible for the living to reach it without dying, if they were particularly fearless. So I'm afraid I don't know.
What can you tell me about Charon?
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting you're not from here. If you were Roman, or even Greek, you would know these stories. Each of them is slightly different, whether the storyteller was Plato, Homer, Virgil, or Ovid. But they always involved the souls of the dead meeting a grim ferryman named Charon on the bank of a river. It was said that he'd help the new arrival cross, only if they could pay him with a coin, an obol. That's why it was once our custom to bury our loved ones with a coin in their mouths. Charon's obol, we called it.
I recall it as being one coin on each eye, but maybe that was a different
because we inherited
culture.
this knowledge from the Greeks.
Why didn't you all recognize Charon immediately?
To be fair, the ferryman isn't exactly as the poets described, and he, she, they seem to appear to different people in different guises. You say you saw a young woman named Karen with a hood, and I once heard Kabash mention a stranger in a ram headdress named Kerti, and Rufius described meeting a stranger named Kumut Tabal wearing an eagle headdress. But whatever form this stranger took, they were always wearing a hood of some sort, and their name always began with a K sound. I suspect the only way you'll solve this riddle is if your paths cross again.
Ooh. Why are there so few people in the underworld?
Good question. Let's see. In the stories, Charon would always require a coin as payment for passage across the river. But that never made any sense to me. What does an ancient immortal being need with coins? In our case,
I never thought about it that way.
Charon didn't take the coins we had. He or she merely checked we had one in our possession. So, maybe there's something special about the coins each of us had on us. That might explain why we wound up here, but so many others did not.
Interesting. Okay. Were you trying to keep this from me? No, I don't think she was. Why would she?
No. I mean, I had my suspicions, especially after Livia's ramblings, but I would never have figured it out without your help. I promise you.
That is all the questions I had. I want to hear more about Pluto and the underworld.
Now that we know where we are, we have to figure out what to do about it, if we don't want to be cast into gold for eternity. We don't have much to go on, except the old stories. I remember 4 in particular about heroes in the underworld. Hercules, the demigod and son of Jupiter. Orpheus, a Thracian poet. Sisyphus, a king of Ephyra. And Aeneas, a Trojan hero. Hercules was able to leave the underworld because he cowed its god with his strength. Sisyphus and Orpheus both relied on their wits instead. They persuaded the goddess of the underworld, Proserpina, to help them escape. And finally, Aeneas was able to escape with the help of a spirit guide, who led him through a secret gate. So it seems you have 2 options: to confront the god of the underworld head-on, or find a way to escape with the help of Proserpina or some other guide.
Can't we just escape the way we came in?
It's a reasonable question, but the problem is, this place is fairly well designed to keep us here. There's no way to climb up the shaft. And even if you could build a ladder big enough, just trying it would break the golden rule. We know that, thanks to the writings left behind by those who've tried.
I've noticed you seem uncomfortable calling the god of the underworld by his name. Why is that?
All Romans try to avoid saying it, and the reason is quite simple. He might hear us. You may refer to him as Pluto, if you wish, but you'll only be calling attention to yourself. Do so at your own peril.
Tell me more about confronting Pluto head on.
Shh! Is everyone so blunt where you're from? That option would be the boldest, but also the only way to learn the truth about the Golden Rule, and maybe even put an end to it. As I said, Hercules managed to overpower the god of the underworld, but he was a demigod. Forgive my candor, but you are no Hercules.
No, you're right. You're right. Hercules couldn't manipulate time.
Are you telling me that you can? I won't pretend to understand exactly what that means, but if that's true, then perhaps you stand a chance. So, if you want to confront him, I'll help you as much as I can. Who knows? Perhaps your name will be uttered in the same sentence as Hercules one day. But first, you'd need an audience with you-know-who, and for that, you'll need to enter the great temple overlooking the city. The problem is, the door has been sealed shut for as long as I've lived here, and there doesn't even seem to be a keyhole. I suspect the answer lies in the desecrated obelisk in front of it. I'm not sure if you noticed, but there are 4 plaques missing from its base. It looks as though somebody, or a series of somebodies, forcibly removed them, and in doing so, dishonored and angered our divine keeper. If you could recover and replace all 4 of those missing plaques, I imagine he might be willing to receive an audience again.
What can you tell me about the obelisk?
It's the towering stone monument with 4 sides and a pyramid-shaped head that stands before the great temple, a dedication to the god of this place. You'll find them all over Rome, but of course they were looted from Egypt many years ago. It seems one of them made its way here too, although how is a mystery. However, this one is unusual in that each of the 4 sides is decorated in a different style: Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and another I don't recognize. That means you'll need to recover 4 different plaques: Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and a 4th, a mystery plaque.
Oh, look at that obelisk again. Where would I find the Roman plaque?
Good question. To answer that, we first need to ask who would have defaced the obelisk in the first place. It would have had the god's name engraved into it, so it may be that whoever desecrated it wanted that name to be forgotten. And there's only one group of people I know of who might want to do that. There's a cult in Rome that often argued there is only one true god. Theirs, of course. They've been known to start fires, as well as deface religious monuments whose existence challenged their beliefs. If I were you, I'd go looking for them. Of course, they've all been in hiding since the fire last year, so finding them won't be easy. But I did hear a rumor they have a secret shrine somewhere in the city. Perhaps, if you could find that, you might be able to recover the Roman plaque.
Where would I find the Greek plaque?
I don't know. But perhaps you should begin your search with the local Greek fellow, Georgius. His store is in the forum.
Dooley's also Greek, huh? Where would I find the Egyptian plaque?
Perhaps Kabash, our Egyptian resident, would be able to tell us. Unfortunately, he disappeared weeks ago. But I did hear Aurelia is peddling rumors about him at the tavern, so perhaps you could talk to her, or just take a look in his room.
I've been to his room and I have asked her all of her rumors. Where would I find the mystery plaque?
I'm afraid you're on your own with that one. But perhaps finding the other 3 will illuminate the way.
Interesting. All right. Let's talk about something else. Tell me more about escaping with the help of Proserpina or a guide.
As I mentioned, both Orpheus and Sisyphus were said to have persuaded Proserpina to help them escape, and Aeneas was guided to the exit. The problem is, those are the stories of a poet, a self-aggrandizing king, and a brawler about their own heroic deeds, so they should be taken with a grain of salt. First, Proserpina. What we do know about her is, well, it's a grim tale. It's said the god of the underworld abducted and dragged her here against her will, forcing her into marriage.
Not cool, dude. So she might be willing to work against him to help us.
If the stories are true, then I suppose so. The problem is, How do we communicate with her without being noticed by her captor?
Or communicate with her at all?
Aside for a moment, there is also the possibility of a spirit guide.
No.
I don't suppose you
What?
came across one of those in your travels.
What even is that? I hear the female statues whispering to me every now and then. I never noticed that the whispers were all female.
Truly? And you're only picking this up now? Then again, I suppose you were worried I'd think you were as mad as Livia. Can you tell me more? Is it the same voice? What kinds of thing does it say?
It's always the same voice, and she's helpful, if a little cryptic.
Fascinating. Perhaps she is a benevolent
I was just
spirit.
wondering this myself.
Perhaps you're hearing the voice of Proserpina herself. If she has indeed been abducted, it would make sense for her to speak in cryptic whispers.
That's why she said, he watches with their eyes, but I speak with their tongues.
Anything that might lead you to the way out.
She said, wade against the current. I don't remember that, but okay. Perhaps she said, wade against the current, whatever that means.
That is strange. There are no
Aqueduct.
rivers here. Let me think on that.
Perhaps I need to get into the upper cistern.
Right, because the current flows into the city through the aqueduct and into the upper cistern. I vaguely recall wondering what was in there, but the door at the back of the great temple is locked up tight. You might be able to get a key from the magistrate, but if that doesn't work, perhaps you can find another way in. Let me know if you find anything in there.
I do not think Sentius will let me in. Alright, I'm ready to get started.
All right. I would suggest not discussing this with anyone. The best we can do for them is to let them remain oblivious for as long as possible. As for Livia, it seems she's been shouldering the weight of this terrible secret all this time. Perhaps it would comfort her to know she's not alone.
Maybe. I'll have a chat with Livia first.
In any case, time is of the essence, so you'd best begin. May Fortuna guide you. Although you may not need her with Proserpina on your side.
Ugh, that was so good! That was so good! Oh, this is what I was hoping for when I was talking to that other guy. Like, I wanted information. So, I found a statue representing the Bellides? Where? Is that this? Because I definitely found the other 4 statues that I got that achievement for, but this would be the first time my first time noticing the 4th one, but I didn't notice.
Feeling all right?
I figured out how to treat rheumatism.
You made it into the palace.
No, I didn't.
Rest. How is Livia?
Actually, I didn't. I found it another way.
Oh, I see. Well, what's the treatment?
Willow bark.
Willowback. I should have known. It was under my nose the whole time. That's very helpful. Thank you. If this works, it should settle Rufius down some. I have some right here. Could you do me a favor and give him some of this?
He
just
already,
need to swallow
Galerius
a
already
bunch
took
of
care of it.
I'm hoping it will avert disaster.
I can do that.
Thank you. I'm really glad you arrived when you did. That's a shame. Thanks again for saving Julia's life. Apollo smiles upon you.
Okay, okay. Oh man. I suddenly feel like I have a lot to do. Yeah, there's nothing in Kabash's room. I really did look. I can ask Aurelia about him.
Oh, you're here. I'm so
Also,
glad you decided
Aurelia
to
is kind of a funny name to
Aurelia.
give someone in a
And,
game where
I
people
hope
turn
I'm
to
not being
gold.
too forward, but there's a...
Don't waste your breath, I know you're a horrible person. Let's say that.
How dare...
Okay. I thought maybe that would happen, but... Jeez, okay.
You, Tantalus, cannot catch the just as the ocean accepts the but it does not notice the crowds that come.
I figured it out. I know where we are.
Say it. Speak its name.
Tartarus. Just the underworld? Okay.
Then it is true. I was right.
You were? We think?
I thought I saw it, but when the rest of them could not, I kept thinking I must have gone insane. I had to tell myself it was true over and over again, until I wasn't sure if I was deceiving myself. I must apologize if my words seem cryptic. I'd found comfort in reciting the Metamorphoses by our great poet Ovid. He gives such an uncanny description of this place. I cannot help but wonder if he himself came here. Would you like to hear it?
Yes! I just realized I have to be somewhere.
I will do my best to remember the relevant verse. There is a downward path, gloomy with fatal yew trees. It leads through dumb silence to the infernal regions. The sluggish Styx exhales vapor, and by that way, the shadows of the newly dead descend, entombed with full rites, and the ghosts of those, at last, given proper burial. The wide, thorny waste is cold and pallid, and the newly arrived shades are ignorant of the road that leads to the Stygian city, where Black Dis has his cruel palace. As the ocean accepts the rivers of all the world, so this place accepts all the souls, and is never too small for any populace, nor notices the crowds that come. There the bloodless shadows wander without flesh or bone. Some crowd the forum, some the house of the ruler of the depths. Others follow their trades, imitating their previous lives, and still others incur punishment. I hope I have done it justice, and now we share a secret. It's as if you've lifted a great burden from my shoulders. Thank you, friend. I think I should rest.
Okay. Anything more?
Friend, you have given me hope. May you follow in the footsteps of Hercules and return to the light of day.
We shall see, but you don't have any other advice for me? That's it? I have been hoping this whole time to come up with, to find hints about the butterflies and how I'm supposed to use them. Oh, okay, I should talk to Virgil. Talk to Malleolus.
Ah, a fellow traveler from a faraway land. Greetings, I'm Georgius. It gladdens...
I know, you want to know where I'm from, but I really want to ask you some questions.
My friend, your words intrigue me more and more. But yes, very well, ask me what you will.
Do you know where I might find a Greek plaque?
And in a city full of Romans you are asking me? Because I am Greek. Let me tell you something about Greeks and Romans. My name is Georgios, yes. But the Romans, they do not care. They hear me say Georgios, and they think, ah, he must mean Georgius. Good Roman name. They do this all the time. They see us worshipping Zeus, they copy us, but call him Jupiter. They take Hades and call him Pluto, Persephone, Proserpina. I am flattered that they copy our ideas, but why must they change the names? Do they want credit for making it all up? do they want to forget where it came from? At first, I pull my hair out. After a while, I give up, and I become Georgius the Roman. I accept the world is Romana. Plus, I have no hair left to pull. But my point is this. If you want to know who stole an old Greek name, look no further than the sticky-fingered Romans. The plague you seek was pilfered from a collection of old Greek relics by none other than Duli. He cannot help it. Like a typical Roman, he likes shiny things, especially those that once belonged to my people. And besides, it makes him happy. So I say, let him keep it. I believe he still has it with him, in his cell, just opposite the Temple of Demeter.
Oh, so that's a temple to Demeter? The locked? No, that's somewhere else, I think. Interesting.
I hope that our paths cross again.
I wonder why it said, to talk to Julie before Georgius told me that. Yeah, I don't know what this is a temple to. Hey, you.
Citizen.
I did want to talk to him, I think.
Name's Ulpius.
Any idea where I'd find a Roman plaque?
No idea what you're talking about.
You're so good at lying, my dude. Come on, I helped treat your rheumatism.
What? That was Galerius, not you.
Where do you think he got the willow bark?
Oh, he got it from you? I guess you did help me then. Huh. I think I have seen that plaque. Sorry I lied. Can't be too careful these days. Head into the caves behind the theater. Turn right again. Oh, and here.
Oh, yes, okay.
You'll need this key.
Okay, alright. Perfect.
You didn't get that from me.
Thanks. So now I can get into the shrine. Yes! Yes! I can get into the shrine.
Sometimes I stare at the great temple on the bluff. Ah, a new face. Salve. I hear we have you to thank for saving Julia's life. I'm glad you arrived when you did.
Don't worry about the threats. It's just Rufius and he's never going to hurt you.
What demon or spirit told you about that?
I found an incomplete note in his house.
You went snooping in his place?
I'm allowed. I was told I was allowed to do that.
We're lucky you didn't cross any lines. Have you spoken to him about it?
Well, okay, I have, but not... Okay, yeah, not yet.
I would talk to him myself. But I think that would just inflame the situation. It's probably best if you do it, if you don't mind.
I don't
Nice
mind.
to talk to you.
I thought that having talked to him already would have been good enough, but I guess you have to do it in the same cycle. I mean, that makes sense. Some things you do have to do. Hey, come back! Are you the one threatening Virgil? I know it was you.
I know. I'll leave.
Alright, no problem. But I...
See you.
Okay, I couldn't get to the point where it said, you know, what about your feelings for Virgil? You have to do that a different way, I guess.
Welcome back. Have you...
Yes, and he won't be bothering you anymore.
Really? How did you manage that?
I found a treatment for his rheumatism, which was making him agitated and compounding some other personal issues.
Poor fellow. I've heard that can
Lion
really mess with a
Tamer
person's
solves
head.
Virgil's problem.
Well done for figuring that out.
Happy to help. I think he wants to help clean up his graffiti too.
Really? That's promising. I'll keep an eye out for him.
Okay.
Nice to talk to you.
You too, buddy. Sweet. Alright, let's talk to Dooley. He's got that plaque.
Have we...
About that Greek plaque in your cell.
Do you like it?
Salve.
It's shiny, innit? It makes me happy.
What if
just
I bring you
looking
your
at it.
doll? Can I have your plaque? There was a doll in your room. I know that was yours. May I please have it? Can we trade?
If I gave it to you, then I wouldn't have it anymore, and I'd be sad.
Can we trade? What's it going to take for you to give it to me? No, can we
well,
just trade something, please?
If you get me out of here, then I wouldn't need it anymore because I'd already be happy. Then you could have it, and you'd be happy too.
There's no way Sentius will release you, but perhaps that. I've done this.
Like Galerius?
He made me a doll. Perhaps Malleolus will set you free if he wins. Well, I can't. That can't happen yeah. We already saw what happens if Malleolus wins the election, and it resets everything, and that won't help us. So all I need to do is persuade everyone to vote for Galerius.
Yeah, Galerius will let me out. Then you can have my plaque, and everyone will be happy.
Dude, can we just do a trade? Let me try this
Do you
again.
like it?
May I please have it? I need it for something really important.
Like, I don't. Yeah. Bye bye.
I was kind of hoping to put off trying to. Oh, shit.
Hello.
Trying to get Galerius elected.
Bye bye.
I do want to look at the Obelisk again. So this side is the Egyptian side. That looks Greek or Roman. I'm so bad at telling the difference. That also looks Greek or Roman. So what are you? It's hard to see because it looks pretty worn. It does look like another old culture though. I mean, it doesn't look modern to me. Well, I can get into the shrine now. The Christian shrine. Let's go do that.
Don't you just love springtime? Salve again, friend. I went and did as you asked, and it worked. How is it possible that you've just arrived here and you already know everyone and exactly
We
what's
don't
about to happen to
have
them?
time for this, man. I thought I'd done this before. I'm reliving the same day over and over again.
You're toying with me, right? Wait, you're not kidding, are you? That's the only way you could have known. You're a bit like... Oh, what was his name? Sisyphus. Yeah, that's the one. Old King Sisyphus.
Like Sisyphus, how so?
Sisyphus was a Greek king a long time ago. For daring to think he could outsmart the gods, he was given a terrible punishment. He was forced to push a great boulder up to the top of a hill. Only, just as it reached the top, it would roll all the way back down to the bottom, forcing him to start over and over and over again.
Thanks.
For all eternity. Just like you.
Thanks for the pep
Actually,
talk.
now that I think about it, there are a bunch of old stories about the gods punishing people by making them do the same futile task over and over.
I've been learning about
Tantalus
them.
was made to grasp a fruit on a tree he could never quite reach. The Pleiades had to keep fetching water in a sieve. Oh, and Ixion was strapped to a wheel going round and round forever. But on the bright side, they're not stuck in the underworld like they all were.
About that. Yeah, at least there's that lie.
Anyway, I don't know which god you managed to upset to get yourself into this position, friend, but you seem all right to me. So, I'll tell you what. I'll keep doing whatever I can to help you. And you just focus on finding a way to break the cycle you're in.
You're a good man, Galerius.
Oh, that's kind of you to say. Now, I'm going to keep your secret. Although, it's not as if I'll remember this next time we talk anyway, right?
Yep.
Oh, and if our conversations ever start to annoy you, just tell me you're busy. I know when I'm not wanted. May fortune smile on you, friend.
Roman plaque. Pluto. Father of riches. Wooden carving, yeah, same thing as before. Another disc. Bust. What is this? Stone carving. A stone carving with a symbol of a fish carved into it. Yeah, this is the same Greek letters, but like, what is this up here? There's like a laurel, D, M. Let's go, well, do I want to put the plaque in the obelisk? I probably want to wait till I have all 4 of them, because if time resets... Not that that one was hard to get. I want to see if anything actually happens, though.
Be careful who you trust.
Huh. I can't get it back. Cool. Interesting. I feel like it's about time to reset time because I need Aurelia to talk to me. And then I need time in order to convince Galerius to become magistrate and convince people to vote for him. I did kind of want to talk to Malleolus.
Domitius doesn't usually let anyone in here without a hefty tribute.
Any idea where I'd find a Roman plaque?
Look, if I had a Roman plaque in my possession, I'd be happy to sell it to you, but I don't, so I can't.
Fair enough. The first one says, I want you to withdraw from the election. Let's say, so you're Quinctius.
My name is Marcus Malleolus Gurgis. You seem to have confused me with someone else.
Don't I have a note from the guy? You have 1 green eye and 1 blue eye, just like the description in this execution order from Emperor Nero.
You mean my heterochromia? I am guilty of nothing more than having different colored eyes. And I'm hardly the only person with the condition. Alexander the Great had it too, as it happens. I like to think it is simply the way the gods have chosen to mark a natural-born ruler. Nothing more.
Delusions of grandeur as well. Apparently Quinctius also suffers from delusions of grandeur.
Well, I am not suffering from any delusions, as today's
that
election
wasn't
will
evidence
further
enough, huh? Damn, I can't prove it's you yet, but I will. Huh.
Unlikely, because it simply isn't true. Now, was there something else you wanted?
I thought I had him. I want you to withdraw from the election.
Are you insane? You barge into my villa, uninvited, and then make outrageous demands?
I'm a rascal.
Why would I withdraw from an election I'm bound to win?
He's not going to believe this, because as soon as you win, you're going to break the golden rule. The next one says, because if you don't, I'm going to kill you. He's not going to like either of those, though. He's going to think I'm like stupid. He doesn't believe in the golden rule. Like he straight up doesn't believe in the golden rule, right? But if I say I'm going to kill you, he's probably going to be like, come here, Domitius. Also, threatening to kill someone, that won't break the golden rule? I don't know. I am interested to see what happens if I threaten to kill him. So, let's do that.
You fool.
The many shall suffer.
It does.
For the sins of the one.
Alright, I don't want to, I don't want to lose the stuff that I gained. Don't shoot me. So now what we want to do next is get Galerius elected magistrate. Talk to Aurelia. Figure out where those plaques are. We'll do that next time.